All rise. We will be. Please be seated.
Thank you very much. Welcome back, witness. We're in open session, Mr. Pugliati.
Mr. President, if we could enter private session for a few questions, I estimate 5 minutes or so. I'd be grateful.
Private session, then.
Nous sommes en audience publique, Monsieur le Président.
We are in public session, Mr. President.
Witness, at what time in the morning did you go to location number 1?
Between 6 and 7.
And were there people there when you arrived?
Yes, there were people.
How many people were there?
About 100 people.
And did anything happen at location number 1, or did anybody arrive at location number 1 that morning?
Early in the morning, between the time I arrived and 9, there were just discussions and reviews among us, the Kikuyus, about what had happened the previous night. There was no major incident. But approaching 10 there, I remember person number 18 arrived in a saloon vehicle with 2 policemen. And he stopped at location 1 where we were.
Witness, I'll just stop you there. Did person number 18 say why he was there? Just answer that question.
Yes.
And why had he come?
That was the route towards his home. And he passed there with the police so that they could help him gain access to his home and evacuate his family and his property.
Mr. President, I have 1 or 2 follow-up questions for private session.
Private session.
Court officer, we are in open session, Mr. President.
Witness, we've moved into open session, so just a reminder to use the sheets in front of you to refer to locations or names. But you were telling the court how you were at location number 10 and that there were many people there. And I asked you if you could estimate how many people were present at location number 10 that evening.
More than 1,000.
And what ethnicity were these people?
They were mostly Kikuyus, but I also saw a friend of mine who is a Kisi.
And from where had these people come?
Most of them had come from Yamumbi, and the others had come from the areas around location number 13.
And you said that while you were there, you were receiving reports from these people. Did they say what had happened to their properties?
Yes, they said that their properties had been put on fire and other properties had been stolen.
And did they say who had put their properties on fire or stolen their other properties?
At location 13, it is the Luos. But the other location is, it was the Kalenjins.
Now, you told the court that you eventually made it for the evening to location number 17. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
What time did you arrive there?
6 in the evening.
And if I can ask you to...
Mr. Pugliati, is the word stolen? I don't know. It's up to you.
I'm not sure which line Your Honour is referring to.
It's not about what appears on the transcript. It's the concept itself. And stealing property in the context of burning property in those circumstances. You know, is that what you mean? Or is it something else?
I can certainly ask the witness. Witness, just going back to the reports you received at location number 10, and you said that people had said that their properties had been put on fire and other properties had been stolen. Can you just explain what kind of properties you mean when you said that they were stolen?
The people I met at location 10 from location 13, that area, which is location 15, were mostly business people actually, and they owned shops and hardwares. And these shops and hardwares were first of all broken into, stolen, all the items, most of the items stolen, and then the house were put on fire.
You mean looting?
Yes, looting.
Witness, I've almost finished for the afternoon, but if I can ask you to see if the names are on the sheet in front of you, and if you can tell the court who you may have met when you arrived at location 17 that evening.
When I arrived at location 17, I met persons number 24, 25, and 26.
And did you and those persons spend the night at location number 17?
Repeat that question.
You and the people that you met with, did you spend the night at location number 17?
Yes.
Mr. President, I note the time, and that would be a good moment for us to rise if the court's minded. We've come to the end of that segment, and we'll be continuing a new segment.
Thank you very much. We will adjourn for the day, witness, and you join us again tomorrow. 1 minute, please. As already informed everyone, we will be, there's a plenary of judges happening in the afternoon, but we will be sitting tomorrow at 9:30 in the usual course, but we will not be sitting in the afternoon. That's it, to remind you. Okay. So witness, we will be meeting again tomorrow. You rejoin us at 9:30 in the morning. the blinds will come down so that the witness is ushered out.
Wondering if your friend could indicate how much longer he'll be with this witness.
That's a good question.
Well, we're making progress, and we're certainly more than halfway. We're very confident we'll finish before the lunch adjournment tomorrow, and with a good wind, we may even finish at the end of the first session. But so we'll certainly be done at some point tomorrow.
Well, all I can say is if you can finish in the first session, we'll finish with this witness tomorrow.
Just to seek a clarification from the Chamber, if that means that there are 2 sessions tomorrow as opposed to the usual 3, then we'll certainly do our best to complete by the end of the first session. It would be a strong ambition of ours to do so.
What I understand is if you finished by 11, is that the understanding, Mr. Hooper? That's your point?
Yes, from both of us.
Fine. And then if you finish by 11, the defense would be done by lunchtime tomorrow.
Well, subject to any extensive questioning from victims, if they're
From Victims' Counsel, you mean?
Victims' Counsel, yes.
We'll do our absolute best. We don't want to bind ourselves to that at this stage, but we're optimistic. But we will do our best.
And that kicks the ball into your court, Mr. Ruto. Do you so far foresee?
Thank you, Mr. President, Your Honours. I do not intend to be very long, so I still see that if Mr. Pugliatti is able to finish by 11 o'clock, then we should all be able to finish by lunchtime.
Mr. President, on our part, we do not intend to ask any questions. There's a certain order of cross-examination that you had mentioned in the morning. We would have very much wished that the victims' common representatives takes over after the prosecution so that we can make an informed decision on our part whether we need to ask any questions.
You're quite right. But I also understood Mr. Hooper to have spoken on behalf of the both of you.
Absolutely,
Yes.
and we are very anxious to finish before midday.
All right. Well, we'll leave it at that for now.
And just to follow on, it would greatly assist us if we could then know when the next witness is going to give evidence. The inconvenience to the defence with these breaks is far greater than, of course, it is to the prosecution, who reside here and work here and are based here. But it appears to us that we may be going over quite a period of time before the next witness may come. We object to that. We'd ask that the next witness be brought here as soon as possible, and that the prosecution, put it bluntly, get their act together and get this witness here so that we're not having to come back in a fortnight or week's time.
So we're now talking beyond this particular witness. Mr. Pugliatti, the question is, when are you putting on your next witness after this one?
Well, of course, there are many moving parts, and it's not entirely the subject of the prosecution's control. There's also the availability of the next witness and that person's personal and professional obligations. But we were aiming to put this person on in the first week of July, but we can make inquiries at our end and revert to the Chamber and to the parties once we've spoken to the VWU as well, who are also involved in bringing this witness to The Hague to testify.
Well, let's leave the discussion on that for now. Let's, if we need to return to it tomorrow with some time, then we'll do that. The blinds will come down and the witness will be ushered out of the courtroom.